June has been an absolutely crazy month for BC football recruiting. Will it go out with a whimper or a bang? We'll get into that on today's show.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. This is Locked On BC. I am your host, AJ Black. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you all. This is a Friday episode of our show. We're going to start off with recruiting. We have basketball news and we have some hockey news. Yeah, folks, I'm going to talk hockey tonight here on today's Locked On BC. We're going to kick it off with football. Now, June has been an absolutely hectic month for BC football recruiting. In between official visitors, they've had close to 20 to 30. They've had 11 commitments. They've had guys that put BC in their finalists, and the class itself has started to shape what the class of 24 is going to actually look like. And so we are down to our final day. Friday is June 30th, the end of June. We are 1 month closer to the start of the football season. And there's some news that we need to get into to kind of talk about, is there momentum heading into July? Or is, we're going to start shuffling the cards again and finding out what BC is going to look like in terms of their big board moving forward. So the first big name is, if you're on YouTube, you're looking at him right now, DeAndre Cook from Friendship Collegiate Academy in Washington, D.C. He is announcing on Friday. If you're listening to this on Friday, he may have already announced. He's down to Rutgers, UNC, Penn State, and BC. Visited all four schools, and he's going to announce on Friday. He's a defensive lineman. BC was, I think, the second school to offer him. He is a high 3-star, 86 or 87. So he's not super high, but he's up there. And so the question remains, will he be the next commitment for BC? And I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer here. On 247 Sports, I put in a crystal ball that he's not going to end up at Boston College. I think when the chips fall on Friday, we're going to find out from Cook himself that he's committed to Penn State. So I'm not expecting good news here. I've heard that he had a great visit to Happy Valley and that he made his announcement that he was going to make a decision right after he visited Penn State, which is usually a red flag. But people I've talked to, and this is not just my gut, I have said that Cook is most likely going to end up in the Alliance. So that's one that you're going to cross off your list. Another one you're going to cross off your list, Chris Leno. Chris Leno is an offensive tackle out of Seattle Prep in Washington. He was here on a visit early in June. He was down to Washington State in BC. He's from Seattle. It makes sense. He wanted to stay closer to home. He mentioned in his acceptance that a big piece was that there was a huge Polynesian contingent on the Cougars team. He really liked that. I thought maybe BC would have a chance. His sister goes to school at BU. Maybe that would have helped. He is not there. So my big question, and this is what I'm bringing up here, the Eagles are now, their offensive line board is basically wiped out. You have Brandon Sullivan, who they just offered about a week ago, and not a guy that you want to put at the top of your class based off of offers, but I have nothing against this kid. He's from Central Catholic Memorial, big physical kid. Not one that has an offer list that gets fans excited, but watches film and talk to people who have watched him play. He will get you, they will tell you what you need to know about him. And Gerby Lambert, also from Catholic Memorial. But we've talked about this before, that Lambert is one of the top recruits in the country. Will he end up at BC? So basically you have Brandon Sullivan left. And hopefully Gerby Lambert if you can get him. But that's a pipe dream one, right? So what does BC do now? In the age of internet and social media, it's anxiety provoking to see like Kyle Atuner, Chris Leno, CJ Williams, all these recruits that were top of BC's big board go to different schools and you're going, what is the staff doing? Well, you're 3-9. You're playing from behind to start off. But what does BC do now? Now that you wanted to, I'm assuming from what I've talked to the staff, there's still multiple open spots in this class for offensive linemen. Gerby Lambert's going to be a +1. So there's other positions that you can still fill on the offensive line in addition to that, right? What do? They're going to have to, I think, and from what I've talked to folks about, is they go to plan B. And these are guys, and it's not a plan B as in like you're going down a level. You're now digging, you open up your board again and you start looking, you start watching film, you start evaluating again, seeing what you can find. And so some of these guys that you're going to look for are going to be guys that you're going to want to wait and see senior year film. Now there's a kid I think he's from Ghana that's playing in England. He's 6'7". He's got offers from SEC and ACC schools and Big 12. I mean, he was just at Baylor this last week. I know BC's high on him. Maybe he's somebody. I know that they're looking. I before I even jumped on, I could see the coaching staff looking on Twitter, liking and following guys. They're out there looking, and these are not guys that are. I know the initial gut reaction is, oh, they're just going to look at MAC guys. No, the guys that they're looking at still have big offers. So it's not like you're starting to like get, huge developmental projects here. These are guys that I think could, it's starting from scratch. You're going to have to get them on for official visits and see all that good stuff again. But I still think there's still good talent out there. But it's still frustrating, right? You want to get offensive linemen because, as we saw last year, it's a major issue with this roster. So getting guys in is going to be important. So we'll have to see what Applebaum does. It's going to be an interesting thing. I know right now it's going to be quiet. We're hitting into July. It's a dead period. A lot of staff are on vacation. They're getting themselves ready for the season. So, I think news in that sense will probably be quiet for a little bit, but you never know. We'll wait and see. But in terms of good news, I'm expecting good news soon from a wide receiver. And if you follow me on Eagle Insider, you can find my crystal ball predictions. It's public now, but I put a crystal ball in for Cedric Lott. This is a 6'6" wide receiver out of Texas who was just on campus last weekend with his teammate, who I have not put a crystal ball in yet for, but we'll have to wait and see what he does. His name is Elijah Besa, who's committed to Arizona State right now. But Lott is a basketball player, and he can dunk. So he's got hops along with being 6'6". Not the most polished guy, but if you trust your staff to develop this kid, 6'6" who can jump sounds like an intriguing prospect to me. Now the key with him is he's just learning football right now, but he's been at camps. He's been talking, he's got a good offer list so far. No Power Fives other than BC, but I expect if he commits to BC, when he plays this fall, he plays in Texas. He's from Mesquite, which I love that name, Mesquite, Texas. That if he plays, I'm guaranteeing that he's a project. BC's taking a project guy is going to end up turning into, is BC going to be able to hold on to this guy based on the way he plays this fall? Just wait and see if he does commit there. Okay. Now in a moment, let's flip the script. We're done with football for the week. Let's get to basketball. And another out-of-conference game has been announced, and we're going to find out who BC is going to play in the ACC-SEC Challenge. It's going to be a good matchup. We'll get into that in just a moment. But before we do that, I want to tell you about our good old friends over at FanDuel. Now, FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of Major League Baseball. And if you're ready to take your first swing at betting on Major League Baseball, FanDuel gets 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets, up to $200 on FanDuel. That's right. Just bet $20. You'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spending anything from the money line to over or under, or who you think is going to hit the first home run. Think Ohtani's going to do something crazy? Go over to FanDuel. You can get strikeout counts, home runs, wherever you think Ohtani's going to do. You can head over there. You can get those odds. Bet the over on everything that dude goes. He's the most interesting thing going on in Major League Baseball. It's all in an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you can get paid instantly. And the part I love about FanDuel, I don't worry about the app. The app is perfect. It's easy to use. It's safe. You know you're making a nice, secure bet. It's like going to a casino, but it's on your phone. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official partner of Major League Baseball. This is Locked On BC. I am your host, AJ Black. Now, this is for the folks listening live. If you're not done so already, we have 2 hours left. Get over to Eagle Insider. 50% off ends at midnight tonight. Sign up. I have decided to increase the coverage on the site. My first VIP article today was on an interview with a baseball player who transferred to BC from Holy Cross. I got to talk to the kid. Had some really interesting things you might want to hear about. Get in now. It's $53 for the year. Go over to Eagle Insider. Just sign up. It takes 10 seconds. You'll get all your Boston College news for the next 12 months for $53. You won't get paywalled on anything. So head on over there. All right. So we're talking basketball now. Let's flip the script from from football to basketball. Now, let's give you some details here. So the ACC and SEC are going to play their first basketball challenge this fall. It's the end of November, I believe. I think it's the 28th and 27th or 28th and 29th. And this is replacing for BC the ACC Big Ten Challenge. And the reason it's changing is because of the media rights deals. Now, up until this point, the ACC and Big Ten had deals with ESPN that made it easy for the media conglomerate to throw them all together in this big challenge. You could get all those teams together and it would be beneficial for ESPN because they're all, licenses that they own, the ACC and the Big Ten. Now, the Big Ten in the last year, if you've been paying attention to college sports, they signed a new deal with Fox and with, they're all over the place, but none of it is with ESPN. So we knew when BC played Nebraska last year that was going to be the end of the ACC Big Ten Challenge for BC. Now, ESPN did the smart thing and they adjusted, they pivoted. They took their two properties, the ACC and SEC, and put them together. Some really fun potential matchups. When you think about it, you got Kentucky, you got Duke and UNC, and Alabama's playing really well, and Miami, and some of the schools, LSU, things like that. You've got good programs across the board that could lead to some interesting matchups. Then you have Boston College. Again, this tournament is going to have an uneven number, just like it did with the ACC Big Ten because of Notre Dame. So one team gets the axe this year, and that was Louisville. Louisville fans don't seem to understand it, but if you're a Louisville fan listening to this, I'll give you a simple hint. You won 2 games in conference last year, like 4 total. You deserve to be left out. They were like, why is Boston College and Georgia Tech and all these? Well, you know what? You had 2 ACC wins. Boston College had 9. So that's just a little note for Louisville there. But for BC, they had a draw. And I love who they drew, which is the Vanderbilt Commodores. Now, BC has not played Vanderbilt in 23 years. The last time they played was in 2000 when BC won by 20 at home. But Vanderbilt, led by Jerry Stackhouse, that Jerry Stackhouse, was a very good team last year. I think they were 22-15, and they made the 3rd round of the NIT before beating Michigan and beating Yale before losing to UAB. They have a ton of talent on this team. Some of their more talented players are returning, and this is going to be a good game for BC. This is a good draw. I thought when I heard this that BC was going to draw like a Mississippi State or Georgia or something, like one of those schools that were more near the bottom. Vandy was a borderline tournament team last year. So this is fun. And for folks that want to travel, the game's in Nashville. That is even better, right? So if you want to travel to this game, it's on the road. But this kind of, again, starts to fill out your schedule. And I'm seeing a pattern here. There's a lot of road games for BC in this out-of-conference schedule. So you have home games against Central Connecticut and Holy Cross. And Richmond, I believe, is at home. But you have out-of-conference games against St. John's, now Vanderbilt. Well, St. John's is neutral, but it's not at Conti Forum. It's at Barclay, but that's still out-of-conference. You have the tournament, which is the Hall of Fame Classic, which you'll play Colorado State, Creighton, and Loyola Chicago. There's still a few more games. I hope that the rest of those games are home games because you've already filled a lot of your out-of-conference with away games. But I think this is now you have two borderline tournament teams in your out-of-conference schedule, just without even the mid-level tournament. So you have St. John's Rick Pitino is going to have them as a top 100 Ken Palm rating. That's going to happen. Vanderbilt is going to be up there. You could potentially, we don't know what the tournament's going to look like, but you could play Creighton, who could be a top 25 team. BC's out-of-conference schedule is looking pretty tough already. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're looking at this schedule. And before I get into my final segment, if you didn't go back, I've been starting to put clips up from our show, but yesterday I put up my thoughts on playing UMass and other local teams more. And one team I didn't talk about enough, I think BC needs to play Providence more. Another Catholic school that's local, that has a huge history against this school, also a very good program. They got to play PC more, man. So that's my last thoughts on that. Now, in our final segment, BC hockey is back on the front page of college sports in the NHL in specific. I'll get into what all that means in just a moment. This is Locked On BC. I am your host, AJ Black. For all you everydayers, thank you so much that if you've subscribed, if you've liked, if you've shared our podcast, you guys all rule. Thank you so much. And we're going to talk about hockey now. And I was watching the NHL Draft the other day, and I was stunned. So much Boston College talent in that first round. Now, if you're not aware of how the NHL draft works, it's more like Major League Baseball, where you're drafting the rights to a player, and not like basketball or football, where you're actually getting that player. So the fact that 3 players went in the first round is not a bad thing for BC. Like you're going to get those guys anyways. They've all just said they're coming back. And so the 3 guys going in the first round set a record. I think it was the most by any program this past year. Now the big one was Will Smith, who, if you were to ask me, this picture that I have up on YouTube is not doing it justice. If you've seen pictures of him, he looks like Cillian Murphy from Peaky Blinders, but with blonder hair. His face really looks like him. But he went number 4. This is a guy that broke records. Where is it? He was his name is Will Smith, was named the MVP of the 2023 IIHF Under 18 World Championships with 9 goals and 11 assists in 7 games. That's 19 points in 7 games. His 127 points during the campaigns ranked second all-time in the history behind his teammate, Gabe Perrault. He's from Lexington, and he is going to be one of the best players BC has. He went number 4 to the San Jose Sharks. Now, I mentioned Perrault. Perrault was drafted by who was he drafted by? The Rangers with the 23rd pick. He has the record with 185 total points and had 132 points the last season. Then You had Ryan Leonard, who was drafted by the Capitals with the 8th pick. So 3 guys. You're adding all of these talented players onto Gauthier and some of the players that you have brought back. You have to think about this. And with the NHL draft, yeah, it's great. The BC now has had 25 all-time first-round picks. 8 of those have come in the last 5 years. That's all great. But for me, the bigger news here is that BC hockey has got top-line talent for the first time in a while. And a lot of it. Yeah, when Alex Newhook was here, you started to feel like maybe that was it. But maybe this is it. Maybe you have it now. You have Gauthier, Leonard, Perrault, and Smith. BU is going to have a lot of players too. But maybe this is the year that BC hockey is back. Maybe this is the year Greg Brown stamps his ticket to as a legit BC head coach. Maybe it's winning the Beanpot, the Hockey East, making a run at something. You've got a ton of talent now, and this is going to be an exciting year for BC hockey, and I can't wait to talk about it with you folks because they've done a killer job on the recruiting trail. Because it wasn't just these 3. There were I don't have the numbers in front of me. It's either 5 or 6. 6 selected. Yeah, there was 3 other guys. So Gabe Fowler, their goalie, went in the 3rd round to the Canucks. Drew Fortiscu, a defender, went in the 3rd round to the Rangers. He's going to be teammates with Perrault. And Aaron Manishin, another defenseman, went in the 4th round to the Dallas Stars. So a lot of talent went with BC here. Very, very fun night for if you're a BC hockey fan. And I don't talk about BC hockey enough, but I'm ready to talk about them. I'm ready to get excited about them. Are you? We'll be back on Monday, hopefully with some recruiting news, and we'll get into much more. Thank you all so much. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Hit the like button on this video, and thank you all again. Take care, everyone. We'll see you again soon.